Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Well, here we are with my buddy, Mr. Siraj Hashmi, who I know through Rumble, and he moved on from Rumble to bigger and better things, and broke my heart. But Siraj was kind of my guru, in that he helped me get my show further off the ground. Primarily, how to make thumbnails. It was those two things, like make thumbnails and go live. And it may sound simple, but those actually made about a 300% growth in my show. So, most people be like, that's not a guru. That's just like basic, I don't know, social media etiquette. But, I mean, I don't think you do it anymore, Habibi's Bros, but that was your Rumble channel there as well. But, more importantly, what I kind of wanted to ask you about was, and I guess to a degree it is loosely related to all things Charlie Kirk, is I was going to ask you about, and kind of more sincerely, and I know the show is normally about like current events, but I'm also, arrogant and don't take any notes, and just I'm just going to do what I do normally. I was just going to ask, because in like the time I've known you, like winter, like January 2023 through now, both of us were doing shows, both of us were focused on growing shows, and I've kind of seen you go forward to, obviously you're married, but having a child, and then just kind of seeing you personally, even, despite all like the memes we'd send each other, kind of seeing how like fulfilled, for lack of like a cheesier Hallmark word. And then, I'm still beating my head against the wall trying to grow a podcast to please people I'll never see, and just get numbers on a screen that mean nothing to me. But that's what I kind of wanted to pick your brain about, and then I realized you probably could tie that into Charlie Kirk and a shattered family. But I kind of wanted to ask you about that. And for anyone that doesn't know, Siraj and I usually have nothing close to remotely serious conversations, but it is something I kind of want to pick your brain about in terms of like where you've gone, and the fulfillment or the success. And it's like, well, what does success mean?
Right.
Well, success doesn't have to mean X number of subscribers. Success can mean you come home to a wife and kids. So that's what I kind of want to pick your brain about, which again is a very big departure from our normal quality of conversation, but it is what I want to ask you about.
So Charlie Kirk's assassination affected me deeply in ways I never actually thought were possible. And the more I learned about Charlie Kirk after his passing, the more sad I got, honestly, because he and I were on very similar tracks in life. Although I would argue he was on the accelerated track, considering all that he had accomplished in 31 years of life. And I'm 37, about to be 38, and I feel I haven't accomplished really much in life. However, that's again subjective to whoever you're thinking or who you're discussing. In terms of impact, Charlie Kirk, he's obviously irreplaceable. I don't think there's going to be another man like him that's as galvanizing to the youth, to young people. It's when I remember thinking to myself when he was shot and died, was that it was like for the entire generation, Gen Z, and even parts of Gen Alpha, it was like they killed their big brother. And to me, I always kind of viewed Charlie as sort of like a little brother. And I really didn't pay that much attention to him. However, he and I followed each other on social media. There was, I wasn't really like in the know about everything that he was doing with Turning Point. But now, obviously, after his death, I see what he saw. And it was one of those things where I wish I had the chance to sort of connect and build with him. I think, in this sort of media ecosystem, everybody sort of likes to dunk on each other. And a lot of us did dunk on Charlie quite a bit, especially for some of his what we thought at the time were cringeworthy posts. But you look back on it now and you're like, actually, this guy was right about a lot more than he was wrong. And and how people have sort of used his words and taken it out of context to sort of slander and malign him after. It's really disheartening. But what's obviously worse is the people who are celebrating his death. I mean, it's just like people that I used to like and respect, friends of mine, even I'm sure there, I haven't really investigated any members of my family, obviously, to see just because, I have, and no family is like wholly, leans one way or the other. It's always a mixed bag. And so I think, I think what's going to happen is that, you know, there are people that don't see the humanity of others passing, and that's sort of like a societal, like ill. It shows the sickness of society. But at the same time, the pendulum is swinging, as we saw with Charlie Kirk's funeral and memorial, is this sort of nationwide revival, which is unlike anything I've ever seen. I watched the entire memorial, and it was one of those things that I, I'm really I'm optimistic about the future, but obviously, I'm not like well versed in a lot of scripture, but it's what faith without works is dead, or something like that. What time? What is that? What's that saying?
Well, no, it's yeah, no, it's basically actions speak louder than words. It's
Actions
faith.
speak
I think,
louder
I
than
think,
words,
I think
yeah,
it's
but
it's like faith without deeds is. I think maybe it is death or it's nothing
yeah,
or it's dust or
yeah,
whatever. It's
right. It's completely. It's like multiplying anything
it's
by
putting the
zero.
Ukraine flag in your Twitter. It's like, hey
Yeah,
man, nobody that's not a psychopath is like psyched that people are getting killed in Ukraine. It doesn't make you
for
a good
sure.
person to put it in your bio.
Yeah, I mean, there's no single person that likes death. That's not. I mean, we're not only social creatures, but we also, just like other animals, are fighting for our survival. And to answer your question, I mean, yes, success is a metric that everybody has a different measuring stick about what they determine to be success. I think I have been successful in many different facets of life. Obviously, the one I'm most proud of is being a father and husband, and having that. There's another saying that if you want to change the world, start at home,
Mm.
because the next generation is really what's going to be, and how you raise them is what's going to be. The fruits of what you see is going to happen 20 years down the line, when they start getting into the real world and they start making the difference. And with Charlie, you know he and I actually relate more to each other than I thought. He's also a young father. He had a 3 and a 1-year old. Recently married. He was married in 21. I was married in 19, and in 2019, and in 2021. I actually did see him speak one time in 2021, I think around December time. And it was one of those moments where I was like, man, I really misjudged this guy. I can't believe like I used to troll him like a lot of other people did. And I noticed that after that, I didn't actually like I viewed him in a much different way. The following year, as part of Rumble, I actually spoke at a Turning Point Student Action Summit event in Tampa, and that was like I think in July of 2022. I hosted a panel discussion with other Turning Point ambassadors. I myself am not a member of Turning Point, and obviously there's I never again. I'm old. I'm older than Charlie Kirk. When he started the organization, I had already been out of college. I had already been in the working world, and but I support their mission. I think that what they've done is nothing short of a miracle. The way that they've been able to capture the culture, capture a young generation that's shaping the culture, and that's what we're seeing right now. Is a cultural shift happening in America. There's a political shift in 2024, and it was moderately a cultural shift, especially with sort of how people were doing sort of like the Trump dance, the movement, shaking the arms, and
Yeah.
um and things that Trump did. It became more of he sort of embraced sort of the caricature of himself, and he didn't take himself so seriously. And I think a lot of people really were uh that appealed to a lot more people, because yeah, politicians for the most part are very serious people, Trump is not a politician by trade. I mean, he's always been a businessman, a real estate investor, a builder, and a media and marketing genius, because I don't think any person in our lifetime could get more earned media than Donald Trump. And he does it so well. And I don't know, like people, this is what kind of, and I was one of these people that actually was very critical. And in fact, I would say I was more of I was definitely liberal, but I was more opposed to a Trump presidency in 2016. And I went from not voting for him in 2016 to then voting for him in 2024, because I realized, and I was late to the party, that he was just right on so many other things. And I obviously attribute my wife to sort of helping open my eyes, because she, just like Charlie and Erica Kirk, my wife is way more based than I am. So, and she's an attorney, and she's just an overall kick-ass woman. And I think it's one of those things where, and I see the transformation that happened in Charlie. He really matured in how he approached his work, and the fact that he knew his purpose so early on in life is something that I would never say I'm jealous of, but it's something that I really wish that I had known about myself sooner, to really understand sort of the purpose, that why I'm here. And that kind of just goes to show you how sort of reflective and introspective Charlie Kirk was, because he thought about this stuff a lot. And I think I remember seeing one of his clips the other day, and he was just riffing out a list of all the books that he read, and books that he would recommend. And I'm just jotting down notes. I'm just like, I need to read this, and I'm just like, just because I know I'm not Charlie Kirk, but I think I myself am inspired by him, someone who is younger than me, someone who is way ahead of his time, to not only become a better person for me and my family, but contribute what I can to this country, and do my part. And I think what I'm working on now, which I obviously can't share at the moment because nothing is final, but I think what I'm trying to do now is build something in a way that has a lasting impact for a lot of people, in a space that has not been that has been underserved. And I hate using that word underserved because it sounds very libby, right? It's just saying, like, it's like underserved communities. But like in this particular space, like this area is actually, there's a big vacuum. And I can't wait to launch. I can't wait to share with you and your audience. But it's one of those things that I know there won't be anyone like Charlie Kirk, but I can try to be the best Siraj Hashmi I could possibly be. And so I think the lesson that we should definitely take from Charlie Kirk is we should all try to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. And sometimes people don't know how to do that, but I've kind of broken it down into this, saying that all you need to do is be 1% better than you were the day before. And if you do that, you've already taken the first step, and it's just going to keep building, and it'll snowball. So, but yeah, there are a lot of similarities I feel between me and Charlie that I wish I had known sooner. And obviously I regret not getting a chance to meet and connect with him. And, again, another lesson is just don't take for granted the people that are around you, that you have the opportunity to meet, work with, befriend, collaborate. That life is so short. And I think I was mourning a man I never met. And at the same time, I've also been inspired by a man that I never met and even felt differently about before. And I think that I am more determined and motivated, obviously, to do what I need to do to sort of contribute to his vision of America. And people try to, equate Charlie Kirk to, some of the major icons that were advancing, social and political change, sort of like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And people were mad about sort of like the comparison, and I think to myself, like, he doesn't need to be compared to them, because I think Charlie Kirk's name holds its own weight, and we're gonna see, we are at the beginning of seeing what the actual impact he had on our country.
Yeah, I'm with I'm with dude, I only ever knew him from just like the memes.
Yeah,
That's the
and there were a
memes
lot
that
of
would
memes,
like
and he took it really well. And the fact that he even took the South Park episode so well is just like,
that's so cool.
the guy's so magnanimous, and he knows how to poke fun of it himself. And that's the thing I do. I love it when people make fun of me.
You
It
take
makes
it.
me
You're very good. You take it in stride.
it makes me laugh so hard how much people rip on me. It's
It's but it's funny, not even the South, but like I literally like when I look back in my mind, like 99% of what I've found out about Charlie Kirk has been from his death until today. Like I didn't,
mm,
and I think there's some weird like, oh, if you're a conservative, you must know. I'm like, I didn't. I literally knew the memes where it's like they'd shrink
yeah,
his face, because he had kind of a big head, and they'd shrink his face, and it'd always be like instead of like the turning point, you'd have the logo. But
yeah,
it'd be stupid things. It'd be like,
yeah,
you say you're for freedom, but like I have to wear pants. Like curious. Like stuff like that. Like that's all I ever knew him from was just those memes. And I think and I'm kind of feeling guilty now, really in the last week or two, because like I did a show the next day with Dale, Delta Force Dale talking
mhm,
the assassination. And I was like, yeah, I never really liked him. I kind of thought he was like a dork. And Dale was like, oh, I loved him, man. I used to watch him forever. And I start to think like, what do I actually know about him?
yeah,
And whereas you said not jealousy, it very quick, and I said this on the show, it very quickly hit me. No, I think it's jealousy. He's taller than me. He has orders of magnitudes more followers than me. He gets to meet all these world leaders. He's probably got a higher IQ than me. He's very intelligent. He's got a better gift of gab than me. He's 5 years younger than me, but married with kids. And I was like, oh, and he does all of it in like a suit, whereas I'm in like pajamas. And it
mm,
very quickly hit me how much of him I'd written off. Because I think deep down I was like, oh, he's just Michael Jordaning it. He's doing everything I
yeah,
want, but he's just like he's shattering the backboard from the free throw line.
yeah,
And that's all I know. And that's made me realize like, oh, I don't know anything about this. And like, so I started looking at all of his stuff. I'm like, dude, these are like all opinions I have. And these
yeah,
aren't probably these like moderate opinions. You talk to like Charlie Kirk's a race. Then you see him talking to somebody, he's like, no, he's like, you should love or hate me based on like what I look like. He's like, if you want to hate me, like hate me for who I am, not because I'm like, oh. And I think that so what's the value of this other than just sitting here and being like, oh, I was wrong? Well, you never know when your ticket's gonna be punched. And I think there's a lesson in saying, like you said, his name holds his own water. Really, the only thing to do is to find your own true north and be that, if you were
absolutely,
born today and went, who's Joe Rogan, half the country would tell you, oh, he's a bro, the other half would tell you he's a Nazi. The only thing you can really do is like go in and listen to, some episodes over 10 years and you'd be like, he's just like a goofball who smokes pot with his friends and likes conspiracies. Like, he's not this or that. It's Joe
yeah,
Rogan. It's a goofball. And I think that's kind of what I've taken away from it is you have little to no control over the frame in which you're perceived, especially if you're in doing things like we're doing and kind of we're court jesters. You're out there doing, hey, I'm doing the podcast, you're dancing and spinning. And it's like people are gonna think of you what they're gonna think of you. And you can waste all your time by saying that's not who I am or this is who I am. But the reality is like by the time anybody is going to have a real moment to sit down and observe who you are, it probably is when you're dead, either through
mhm,
God willing, you live into your 90s, or your life's cut short. But it's made me like you don't have. There's some, and then maybe I'll wrap my babbling up in this. There's some quote where it's like, if you stop and pay attention to every dog that barks at you, you're never going to get to where you're going. And there is
right,
some truth in just be who you are. Like that dude knew who he was, and he knew what he liked, and he knew what he believed in. He could, if he wanted to, you can banter 24 hours a day on any social media platform against haters and trolls. Or you can just kind of find your true north and go that way. And I think that is perhaps what's most inspirational to me is Like he doesn't. He's not here defending himself. His own action, and we're not cherry picking like the best of. You just go find any old thing, and we're both agreeing like
Right.
he's like a pretty normal dude.
Yeah. In
That's
fact,
what I'm
I
taking
watched
away.
way more Charlie Kirk content after his passing than I did before he
Almost
died.
virtually all of it for me.
No, I think there's so many people who are watching way more Charlie Kirk content than they did before. I actually I remember this quote from Aristotle, or at least it's attributed to Aristotle. It's like if you want to avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this, I mean, like that. The only thing you can really do is just focus on what you're doing and what your purpose is. And Charlie knew that. I think a lot of people who are very successful in life, they're there for a reason, right? They're not there by sheer luck, right? Like Donald Trump, I know that it's funny because everybody likes to question, the amount of wealth that he has. Well, I remember in the 2016 election, he said that he inherited like $1 million check from his father, and he used that to build his $1 billion empire. Now, a lot of Americans, particularly his detractors, they look at that and say, "Oh, $1 million, like that's so, like of course you're privileged enough to have that." Well, yeah, a lot of other, rich sons and daughters would take that $1 million and blow it all away,
Yeah.
right? Like there actually takes like some actual merit, some hard work, some tenacity, grit, determination to actually build an empire that big, even with an investment from a family member, right? It's not something that, you can just dismiss. It's something that actually has value. And if people understand your purpose, they understand your why. People don't, there's another quote from Simon Sinek. He says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Mm.
And for all those really successful leaders out there, and it's not just leaders, it's people, those who lead, those who lead, those who lead are able to inspire others to join them and follow them because they understand their purpose, they understand their why, and it resonates with other people because they find that their values, they share the same values as the person that they're following. And they're not doing it because of the person, they're doing it for themselves. And I think a lot of people, particularly after seeing how many people were at Charlie Kirk's memorial in Phoenix, and how many people were tuning in, and how many people just sort of commented on the whole situation and saying that they want to do better. They're not doing it for Charlie. They're doing it for themselves because they see a lot of themselves in Charlie, and the values that he shared, they share. In fact, there really has never been a more apt saying than "Je suis Charlie," or saying "I am Charlie Kirk." I mean, it's really he's a martyr, and I think it's anyone who sort of denies that he is sort of a cultural and intelligence litmus test to actually see whether that person is actually serious about what's happening. I will say this: there is with a lot of the liberals I've spoken to, friends and family, they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what's coming. And I don't mean that to sound in like a threatening or
No.
ominous way, but like the shift, the vibes have shifted tremendously. This is, if anything, you talk about like there's another book that I don't know if you read, The Fourth Turning.
Yeah.
It's
The
this
How and what's the other guy? It's HOWE and what?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name. I've
I
been
think I
reading
read
it.
it
And I'm
last
like,
year.
yeah, it's very fascinating. So I'm glad you read it because I'm still in the middle of it. I was actually like doing the audiobook thing. Neil Howe and William Strauss.
Yeah. No, I
And
purposely read like the densest books I can find on Audible. I retain almost nothing.
well, the thing about this book is that I am trying to I'm waiting on the hard copy, right? And
Yeah.
I just I just procrastinated. I didn't get the hard copy yet. But in The Fourth Turning, you would look at a situation like the Charlie Kirk assassination, and that is sort of like a demarcation between the before and after. And it's definitely part of sort of like this the revival that you're seeing right now. You can point to a part of that theory of the fourth
cycle.
turning.
Yeah.
The saculum, that this is part of it. This is the next phase of that turning. So it's going to be very fascinating what we're going to see. And it's and these cycles, they last between 20 to 25 years, based on like sort of like the average age of a human being, which in this case is between like 75 and 80 years old. So we're about to see, people, unfortunately, tragedies happen all the time, but I don't think this many people have ever been impacted by one single tragedy as this. And that's changing. I would be surprised. The Democrats aren't going to win another major election, at least in my view, at least for the next decade. They might win like small, like, majority seats that they've already held, strong blue districts or even blue states. But, anything that's a toss up, I can't imagine them winning. It's going to be, they are about to enter some very dark days of nothing but losing. And I say that not with any certainty, but it's sort of like the gut feeling, right? Because I don't know obviously what's going to happen. But at the same time, just seeing, just using that sort of eye test of just seeing what's happening and taking it all in and trying to not actually let bias sort of affect what you're thinking. It's very difficult to sort of deny what's happening right now in this cultural shift.
I think about, sure, it's like these tragedies happen every day, and it's like there's probably, 1,000, 5,000 people dying a day in Ukraine. Like, of course, that is numerically larger. Duh. There's something just so. I mean, this role is just it's used too much. But there is something. It's in terms of like the mourning for someone you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I could compare it was like I was like in between shows in 2020 when I found out Kobe died. Now, granted, I grew up loving basketball. It's been forever since I played, but still, it's like there was something that was just so like what, like, and his daughter, and he's like young, and it's it's not like an old Ted Williams at Fenway Park where it's like 95, and it's like that dude lived an insane life. There's something about it's like Kobe in a helicopter with his daughter, and that was like, and so that was a sport that like I once played and was like somewhat aware of. I had never paid any attention to Charlie Kirk, but it's just something so like when I was supposed to have a meeting and I got a text like 1 minute before and it was can't like the Charlie Kirk shot. And in my mind it was actually a lot of like the times when I interviewed Dr. Malone or Dr. McCullough. They would call really big shows. They never called my show that. They would call really big shows like a hit or a shot. So they'd be like, I'm on like the Tucker Carlson hit. And so I always took it as like, yeah, that meant like they're going to be late for my show. Unfortunately, Tucker Carlson gets precedence over my show. Like, okay, cool. The Laura Ingraham hit. And I went back to it. I was looking at it and I was like, shot's a weird one. And I went and Googled it and I was like, shots rang out. And I was in my mind, I was like, yeah. My first thought was like it was going to be Trump thing. Like crack, crack, crack. Somebody gets tackled. Mm-hmm. And then it's like Charlie Kirk was hit. And I was like, again, still, I'm like, it's hard to hit somebody. Like, maybe you got jacked in the arm. And then it was like in the neck. And I was like, and then when I clicked, I literally thought it was like it was a still frame. And I clicked on it. And the next thing happened, it's this carotid explodes in a river of red. My point of saying that is not to needlessly be grotesque, but rather because it's that. Like every 9/11, I always do like I will watch like some videos on YouTube just to, I don't know, like feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Remind yourself.
It doesn't mean that World War I didn't happen. Doesn't mean that the French Revolution didn't happen. No, didn't mean that all these massacres throughout history didn't happen. But my point is to watch it and to just, I don't know if it's a connection to them in the afterlife, but it's just to feel it and to see. And you do look at it and you go, in the grand scheme of global deaths, is 3,000 a lot? No, but there's just something about it's
it's almost the people behind it, the perpetrators, in addition to sort of why they did it. And for Charlie Kirk is they did it because they didn't. They obviously hated Charlie Kirk because he espoused a certain worldview, and this particular shooter, Tyler Robinson, um, you know, he's not trans, but his boyfriend is. It's just like,
but it's no, but it is that it's the whole Joker thing, right? You know, a truck full of soldiers blows up, nobody, and again, it doesn't lighten it, but there is something more about a war with grown ass men in body armor that is to a degree more palatable. It's just kind of it's like one of the constants of mankind. It's like the the stars come at night, the seasons change, and there's war, and it's seeing a guy get shot on like a college campus and his like daughter runs to him. That it had like the 9/11 like what did I just see?
yeah,
You're kind of sitting there and you're like, what?
it's
And
what they call a flashpoint memory. You know, you never
sure.
forget exactly where you remember exactly where you are, what you were doing
And,
when you heard the news.
and then just like I remember I was in 5th grade, there was like the one more thing. It was like that night seeing all that imagery of like people dancing. And it's like all
Yeah.
day I remember seeing like the same angle of like the plane hitting the building and picked up early from school.
Wait, you were in 5th grade when
I was
9/11
in
happened?
I was in 5th grade. Yeah, I was 11, and
Wow.
yeah, and I remember seeing that, and then I just remember like you'd like even as like kids, and there's like nascent internet, but you'd hear about like people dancing and cheering on 9/11, and it was like that much worse. And I think that it's like as bad as it is that the
Yeah.
shot in the neck. I mean, it look for lack of a better friend, it looks like Saving Private Ryan esque. It's the gore, the falling. You're like, it's just so cold.
Yeah.
Then it was to me what I'm getting at though is, and then the flip side of seeing what I truly do believe to be involuntary glee. I really do think that the people that cheered this on, I think it's an evil thing, man. And not in
Oh
like a,
yeah.
well, yeah, no shit. I mean, no, there is something about it almost looks involuntary. It looks like a burp or like, when you laugh in
The
class,
reflex.
when you laugh in class and the teacher's like, who laughed? You're like,
Yeah.
you didn't mean to, but like the special ed girl tripped and you're like, okay, yeah, sorry. But like seeing that and just the electricity in their face to me, and
Yeah,
I'm already
there's
conservative guy, sorry, but my point is I think that hit a lot of people.
right. And I remember there's one video this woman put out on TikTok saying like the best thing about this whole Charlie Kirk situation is that he's not martyr material, and his death will mean nothing because it won't activate anyone, it won't energize anyone. And my God, is she wrong? I think she was so wrong that she ended up deleting her TikTok account. And it's just you look at it and you look at other people who were celebrating. It is something demonic that they're possessed with, and I think with the approach that a lot of the speakers, particularly Erica Kirk, God bless her, took yesterday with just forgiving her husband's killer, specifically, just I mean,
I didn't see that.
that takes an amazing amount of strength to do, and and then Trump sort of just it's not even part of the point, but sort of Trump taking the approach of like
I hate him.
Erica. He's like, I know Erica is right and I'm wrong, but like, you know, I. She's like she loves her enemies. I hate my opponent. Like I don't wish well for them. And
I gotta
part
be
of that
honest.
is like
I
comedic.
gotta be honest. That I know he's comedic, but that's also who I want in that seat. I gotta be like no sarcasm. That's who I
Yeah, I mean,
at the
there
helm.
have to be consequences
Yeah,
for.
correct. Where are they saying this at a funeral?
Yeah,
For who?
yeah.
Charlie Kirk.
There have to
Why?
be consequences for people who are committing heinous and evil acts, and also just spreading evil. I mean, because look, it, there the left has sort of co-opted, or at least tried to claim a monopoly on sort of morality and being ethical and having sort of this moral superiority complex, and they think that they're better if they believe in certain things, that they're better than everyone else, especially their opponents, everybody who's on the right who may disagree with them. And being a member of the left at some point in time in my life, I realized that, like, you know, the cracks in the dam became too big for me, that I couldn't buy their BS anymore. And so I sort of took a step back and looked at the bigger picture. And I think if I had not had those sort of realizations, I obviously would not be where I am today. And I it's one of those things where, like, I had those realizations, and I wish other people who I care for, I wish they had similar realizations, because it hurts. It sort of hurts my soul to see them continuously lied to and propagandized to. And there's just nothing that you can really do. They have to come to that realization themselves. So, I mean, I might be rambling here,
Yeah.
but back to sort of like your point about sort of like the reality of it. Yes, I saw the video. A lot of people saw the video, but there are a lot of people who didn't see the video, and they have no idea sort of why we were all affected in such a way. For one, I had never seen a human die in such a cruel and brutal manner. There's a lot of, unfortunately, there are a lot of snuff films out there, and in my case, obviously, I try to avoid it. But there are times where I'm just like, it's right there in your face. It's someone that you know of. It's not like just some random person. Even like the ISIS videos from 10 years ago were very disturbing, and I couldn't bring myself to watch any of them. But this one, I don't think we'd have this kind of reaction if it wasn't there up in front of us, for all of us to see. And realizing that people are capable of doing such horrific things, because they feel like they're self-righteous. They feel like their cause is righteous, and that they're trying to advance it by any means necessary. I will say, though, the equation, how people have equated Charlie Kirk's assassination to this whole Jimmy Kimmel fiasco is absolutely insane. I mean, I just saw a headline before we jumped on saying that he's coming back on Tuesday, that he was only suspended. I kind of knew that he was going to be coming back, but it's one of those things where it's just like, all the arguments that they made over the last week, people who are defending Jimmy Kimmel, calling it government intervention, like, that's a free speech, First Amendment issue. Like, what are you going to do now that he's coming back? It was because it was never about free speech. It was never about the First Amendment. It's never about government intervention. The show that Jimmy Kimmel is not funny. His ratings are terrible, and I can't believe so many people would come out in defense of a
Good
show
to
that
me.
they never watched.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Patrick. Oh no, hey, we can hear y'all.
What's going on?
I just heard.
That's all
Patrick.
good. I was just gonna say that, like, the equation of that. I mean, like, they were more mad about Jimmy Kimmel and his show getting yanked than they were ever about Charlie Kirk having his neck blown out. And when you see that dichotomy, it's really, I hope it opened more people's eyes to what's going on. And at this point, there's not a single thing I think anyone on the left or any Democrat can do to try to fix this, because the bed's already been made. There's no turning back. It's what's going to happen is what's going to happen, and it's a direct result of the left taking it this far.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, you better than most, like the history of my show.
Mm-hmm.
I feel some sort of way when I see people coming out and being like, it starts with this and censorship starts rolling down. And I'm like, I have to hold it in when I just look at how much, like, this, not to turn this on me and woe is me. The absolute gutting and evisceration that all this did to from YouTube and iTunes, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit. I got banned from Twitch. I was banned from Twitch before I knew what it was. Like,
but in your situation, like, you are just you're not the president of the United States. You are just an average everyday American, and you were targeted for your speech. And just like Donald Trump was targeted after January 6th for something he didn't even do. It's not like he incited the whole Capitol riot. And I don't even know what to call January 6th because it wasn't an insurrection. It certainly wasn't like a widespread riot. There was definitely a lot of peaceful attendees who were simply invited into the Capitol building.
Federal agitation that kind of is slowly to be what it is. But so for just as one, when I just see the whole censorship, like, man, this time I'm just like, I have to bite my tongue when I'm like, I had people text me like, can you believe this? And I'm like, you're the same person that would told me to like stop being a Nazi and go get the vest, but not about me. We'll move forward. The crazy thing is though, right, is to see that sort of that pearl clutching. I cannot believe you would ban this man from the air. And it's like, what are we talking about? What did he? Yeah. First of all, was it government? No, this is a private corporation. You got removed. What did he say? It's like, where are we drawing this back to? Are all those people crying like you really shouldn't be able to get fired because of things you said? And it's like, but the other guy got shot in
zero accountability.
What about the guy that just got shot in the neck for things he said?
Yeah, and this is the thing. And I saw this tweet the other day. It's like there's this phenomenon that happens on the left where they just pretend not to know things and makes discourse absolutely impossible because either they have the attention span of a newt or they have the memory of a mouse, but like they seriously don't remember any of the stuff that happened that set this precedent and caused whatever happened to happen. I mean, the fact that they called everyone on the right, anyone who supported Trump, a Nazi, or a fascist, and then they discovered that one of the bullet casings had the engraving of "Hey, fascist, catch!" Ciao Bella, Bella Bella Bella, Ciao or Ciao, whatever it is. Like, how does anyone see that and think, "Oh, he was MAGA"? The guy, like, did these people not have any like critical thinking skills? Did they not even have two brain cells?
I think it's a rotted through brain, man.
But like, it's either ignorance or it's intentional.
Some are intentional. They're not all stupid. Some are very intentional, and they're
exactly. So the messaging that goes out, they depend on useful idiots to propagate their message, and they are. It just kind of goes to show you there's still a lot more work to be done because this apparatus needs to be completely dismantled. It's just something that, for the sake of our country, for the survival of our nation, and to save our constitutional republic. And I hate saying saving our democracy. It just drives me nuts. We just have to. These are subversives. These are people who are they are anti-American. And they are trying to change it for their own benefit by actually increasing the suffering of everyone else.
I think that another thing, at least for me, was like we saw last summer when they tried to blow Trump's head off.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And it doesn't matter how much how close it was. And talking about like ISIS videos, I would always make sure I would see one because I wanted to know what it was. Because you hear somebody be like, "Don't look at that, I'm telling you," but do need to bomb. I'm like, no, I want to feel it. I want to feel that. I want to feel that dissociation. I want to feel that clammy coldness because you have to know what it is you're looking at. Last summer, again, anyone with two brain cells, it's very just brute force anatomy about it. If the bullet hit him, his head would have exploded. It would have been a cloud of blood and skull and ligaments and brain. It would have been horrific. It would have been Rob Zombie stuff. It's just what it is. But they didn't. And so instead, it's all the memes about, turns his head and, World War III averted.
But also like all the people who are doubting that he was even shot in the first place.
That's I mean, we'll deal with them and the flat earth and the reptiles. Like we'll get to this. Sure, we get to that eventually. We'll get to that. But like my point is what I think is so surreal about this, and especially because Charlie is somebody that was close to Trump, was you almost did see it go through. You got to see it happen again.
Yeah.
And, your team gets to the Super Bowl and loses, and then they get to the Super Bowl next year and they win, and it's a whole thing of emotion. You experienced the almost had it and you lost, and then you went through it. Well, it's the inverse of that. It's
Yeah.
we're so lucky they missed Trump, and then you did see it what it was, and it's everything that everyone said would have happened last summer. They would have been gloating, they would have been cheering, they would have been rubbing it in your face and playing it in slow motion, and you're seeing
I
exactly that.
even in this first year of the Trump presidency, like I have seen nothing but people um sort of waiting with bated breath for Trump's death. Like
Oh, it's
literally just
insane.
it's insane. It's insane how many people are sort of have that much hatred in their heart that they're so devoted to ensuring the demise of one man. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Like that's not like that not only is it mentally ill, it borders on the sort of just being straight up evil because I don't know why any single person would want the death of any other like
And
it's
no, and
just
that's where
not
I'm
it goes against human nature.
no, and that's what I'm getting on because I received a lot of crap from people that watch my show or have been on my show. When I would always say, I'd be like, listen, man, I don't like Joe Biden as a politician, but I'd always point out, I'd be like, that's not Joe. And I don't mean like that's a body double. I mean like that's a dude in late stage dementia. And
Mhm.
it would just remind me of my late grandmother Mimi. And you passed in 2018, and then the last couple of years, her mind was going, and Mimi was the purest soul ever. So before and after dementia, she was the same person. There was nothing to hide. It was just pure love.
Mhm.
But when I see her, I'm like, oh, that's not like the tough Catholic grandmother that like raised my mom. It's this little old lady, and you bring her into her chair, and she watches the movies, and you make sure she has a milkshake to get calories. And I would say this on my show. That's all I see when I see Joe Biden. Is I'm like, he, I see this dude that I'm like, dude, he needs some slippers and like a grandkid on his lap. And I would get this from people on the right. They'd be like, "Oh, you're going soft on Joe." I'm like, "No, I don't like him, and I think the 2020 election was stolen. I can't be more open about this.
Yeah.
This is an old man. Like, where can you?" And I'm not saying you have to do it because it's an objective good. You should do it for at the very least your own soul. That
Mhm.
you look at someone and you go, "I don't like them. I don't like anything they do." But I'm gonna maintain one sliver of my soul and be like, I'm not gonna wish death on that, because that's like
And it's
safety
such a
for
low
you.
bar.
And
It's such a
I
low
know
bar,
it
and they
is.
can't even meet
I
that.
know it is, and I've kept that low bar, and it's still too high for a lot of people. And that's where so it's not even my point of saying this isn't even some double standard. Like, well, what did you think about Joe Biden? No, I said on camera with a timestamp. I think it's disgusting that people are wishing this old man die. When I see people that are like, boy, the I'm gonna do jumping jacks when I see this guy drop dead. Like people I love in
Yeah.
my life that say this, and I
It's
kind of don't even
bizarre.
say anything because
It's a
I don't even.
bizarre
I'm not gonna change
mentality.
their mind. I just kind of don't react. And maybe
But that's
send
also
a meme.
just like how good sort of like dehumanizing propaganda works, right?
Oh,
When you
incredible!
dehumanize the other side,
I
your
mean,
political
slow
opponent, you don't
clap
see them.
CIA. I mean, they're.
Yeah.
But I think that is. I mean, it's when I worked at a liquor store, I just remember one. I always hated stacking beer, but one of the beers was just called Speed Wobble. It's when you're riding a bike too fast and it wobbles.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like we're watching a speed wobble from like 2016 till now, where
Hmm.
we're overcorrecting harder and harder. And well, what if you and what if I and what if you and farther and to the point where it's like, oh, you're mourning Charlie Kirk's death, but if Joy Behart's neck exploded, you'd be cheering. And some people are like, no, I wouldn't. And some people are like, yeah, I would be. It's like, guys, this can't be.
The
This
new
can't
normal.
be this. Well, if it's the new normal, it's not going to be normal for long.
No, well, it'll eventually be replaced by
Well,
another new normal.
well, what I mean is, if your new normal is putting pine needles in newspapers under a bunch of kindling with a match, and we go, this is the new normal, that's not lasting for long. Something else is coming, and
Yeah.
it's how do
I
you?
think.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
I was gonna say how do you deal with this? Because you see some people, and rightfully so, they're like, I don't want to get along with them. They're people are 3D printing bobbleheads of Charlie Kirk that shoot like red goo out of the neck.
Um.
How do you, when people say, I don't want peace with them, objectively, I look at this and I go, this wobbling is bad because ultimately it will lead to the death of our country. How do you talk to people like that where you go, I don't even know if your disgust is misplaced?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and I think that's what we're gonna have to figure out how to navigate that, because how do you engage with someone who has that much hate in their heart, and have, you know, they're being possessed by evil forces to think this way? And to your point about Joe Biden, like I never wished death on the man, but I certainly pitied him, and I think a lot of people did. I thought he was kind of like the victim of elder abuse, even though I thought he was a bad guy.
Yeah,
And prior to his presidency,
sure.
I thought he wasn't. I thought, like, there are many things I disagree with him on, and there's a lot of things that he's done that I think have harmed the country. I don't think anything that he's done in particular that's more harmful than what, say, Barack Obama has done.
Sure.
But still, I mean, like, every president has to sort of own up to whatever it is that they've done. But I don't think Joe Biden was fully in control, and I think we're all seeing sort of it come out that he wasn't fully in control, and that it was his handlers really that just sort of ran the country. But at the same time, like, people are sort of wishing death on others. It's we've passed the Rubicon. I don't know if we're gonna actually reach sort of an open civil war conflict in the United States, but based on how the fact that over the last 10 days, almost 2 weeks, how there's been absolutely zero retaliation, zero violent retaliation, zero rioting, no one being killed, in response to Charlie Kirk, I think just goes to show you that, y- for one, the people who believe in God, the people who believe in the goodness of others, they are the ones who are saddened by all this, and they're the ones who are now. It's no longer. People keep talking about the left versus right. It's obviously a spiritual battle between good
Mhm.
versus evil, and I think this has opened up a lot of people's eyes that there is certainly evil in this world, based off of how many people are celebrating the death of a man simply for having opinions that other people disagree with. And I hate this. I hate this sort of. How some people have sort of been mealy mouthed about it, and that they said, like, they're, whatever Charlie Kirk said was reprehensible, and, like, the basically putting qualifiers on, to
Agreed.
justify, yeah, to justify sort of like him being murdered. Like, no, you don't have to do that. You
You
just
know,
say that people being
you can say
shot
it's
and
sad.
killed for their opinions
You can just
is
say it's
wrong,
sad.
and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter who you are. So it's just, I think that approach, because it goes to show you that sort of, they fear the people who are kind of making these, particularly politicians. I think they either are evil, or they fear basically showing any level of humanity because their supporters are all evil. So that's just.
Well, to tie it back full circle, and then I don't know if what they want us to do for the next. I don't know if they're gonna do the own thing for the show, but I figure we'll kind of wrap it up on an hour. Is
Mhm.
to bring it full circle. Yeah, I never liked Charlie Kirk, but and then you see the same thing of like I'm no Donald Trump fan, but you don't need those qualifiers. You are allowed to, because at its core is an expression of love to a degree. I don't know, name someone on the Ilhan Omar. I'm not a fan. If
Yeah, in
she's not
fact,
if she's
she's one of the most objectionable members of Congress,
I
and
think if she was
she.
90 years old in a wheelchair, though, no part of me would be like, she's almost done. I'd probably, if she's sitting there and doesn't know who's in front of her, I'd be like, hey man, go get her a blanket. Is today movie day? Like, my point is, but the thing is like, and I wouldn't need to, I would hope I wouldn't need to put a qualifier on that says, I never liked her. The things she did, you're allowed to just look and have an expression of humanly love and go, hey, how can I help?
Yeah,
And to some
I
people
think that's
that
what separates us from the rest. That's what separates, I think, people on the right, on the side of good from the rest, is that there is no judgment, and I think that everybody has a redeeming quality about them, but everybody can be redeemed, and that's actually the purpose of, in many ways, faith and religion, is that, uh, if there was
Come
no
home.
sense of redemption, if there was no sense of salvation, then what is even the point, right? We're all sinners in the eyes of God. And not one of us, and there's not a single one of us who's perfect. We all know this. And we should also take that approach. And I think Charlie Kirk did that because he was willing to have a conversation with as many people as possible, specifically those who disagree with him. And some people thought that he was, kind of taking advantage of these college students by debating them. But at the same time, like, these universities are where ideas are debated, and there's never been a better forum to debate those ideas than in college. And at the same time, and I think Charlie Kirk said it himself, he's like, I don't look down on college students. I look up to them because they're the next future of the country. They're the future of the country. They're gonna determine what happens next. And when you approach it with that sort of reverence and respect towards the people that you're trying to work with, it's very hard to hate on someone's mission for doing that, because you're trying to bring people together. You're trying to bring people to think the way you think through persuasion, not through coercion. And that's where people sort of get lost. The way that the left has been using this sort of way of spreading their message and sort of spreading views is not through like love and compassion, but through shame and fear. Like, if you don't think the way we think, like, we're
You're
gonna
out of the party. Man.
intimidate. Yeah, you're getting kicked out of the club. We're gonna intimidate you. We're gonna threaten you. We're gonna beat
shoot you.
up. We're gonna shoot you. Exactly. It's just leading all up to that. And you think of that, and you realize that yes, we have to recognize that this stuff exists, and we have to be able to continue to do the work that Charlie started, because if we don't, who else is? There's not going to be. There's not. I'm heartened to hear that Erica Kirk is taking over the organization, and she has the obviously really, there's a lot of potential for her to reach young women, and I think, and I pray that she's successful in that regard, and actually steering the country in the better direction. Because like, I wasn't raised Christian. I was raised Muslim, but I am a product of sort of uh, I'm a product of Christianity. My entire mom's side of the family is Catholic and Christian, and my dad's side of the family is all Muslim. And I married a Jew. I have a Jewish daughter. Like, I don't. There's not a single part of me that like has any hatred for anyone. I actually love that people are coming back to God,
Just bar
because
none. Yeah.
yeah, like, I don't care if they're Muslim or not. Like, in fact, like, I'm actually, not to like get into like my sort of view on things, but I feel safer I would feel safer at Charlie Kirk's memorial with all the, the Christian rock and sort of the hymns and the singing, than I would at like uh take your pick at a Muslim event. Like, it's just
I was
not.
gonna say, or even Burning Man.
Or even
That would feel much more. You
Yeah,
can make
I mean,
you can
like,
make fun of the Christian rock people. No part of you fears them, though.
exactly. But also, like, you can. It's almost like for a fact that you can trust them in a way, because they hold themselves accountable. And when you are God conscious and you fear God, like, you're very much aware of what your actions, the consequences of your actions, and how it impacts other people. And people who don't have God first and foremost on their mind, like, those are the people who typically are just, they are more focused on their own self-interest.
Ends justify the means, self-righteousness. What
Yeah.
are a couple deaths to bring,
And leftism is its own
utopia.
religion. Leftism is a
Sure.
religion without salvation and without redemption. And it's a very sad thing that we've seen.
Is that your quote?
I mean, I don't know.
That's pretty great. Well, no, it is, because there is no such thing as no religion. People just fill the void with something else. That's why
Right.
communist dictatorships get rid of it, is so you can have a religion, which is the state. They can give you food, water, electricity. Yeah, except there's no salvation, no forgiveness, no redemption.
Right. And if you do stray away from the path, you're
dead.
forever. You're forever out of
Your actions
the
are
good
driven by,
graces. You're excommunicated. You're threatened. You're attacked. You're killed. Like that's
and your constant God conscious is you are more concerned about the Gestapo, and it's not from love, it's from fear.
right.
It's a horrible thing. And but I was going to say, to kind of bring it full circle, is so when we're talking about, like, a Joe Biden, you go, I don't wish anything bad on that dude. I don't wish anything bad on it. It would legitimately be horrific if somebody shot AOC.
Mm.
No part of, I think she's younger than me. I don't look at it as like, I'm like, that could be like a chick I went to college with. No part of me would like cheer that on.
Right, and
And
that's why it's so insane that people are cheering on the death of Charlie Kirk, particularly older people, because like if they had children, like
like, what are
that's
you
the same
doing?
age as your son. Like it's
Like,
crazy.
what are you doing? And so it comes back to, like, well, you can know you're different, and then it's like, but what do you do with that? And I think you look at something like Charlie Kirk's life and you go, plant your feet, find your true north, know what it is you're doing.
Hmm.
And yeah, dude, there's gonna be
Amen.
people that dislike you and hate you, and you can't you can't go around convincing all of them. It's not worth it. Stick to your purpose, and your purpose will speak for itself. I
Yeah,
think
if
that's what
anything,
it
you should
is.
want to work with people who share your values than trying to reach everyone, because the people who share your values it's what's going to sort of provide you with that fulfillment.
Yeah.
And at least professionally speaking, in your personal life, like yes, it should also marrying someone who shares your values is only going to lead to a more fulfilled life. And I am, I mean, the irony of it is I found that someone who shares my values is a Jew and I'm Muslim, but like we both, it's just funny, right? Because
No,
like
it is. It's
we both believe in God and we both believe in the same God. And a lot of people would attest, they probably would make claims that, Allah is different from Yahweh, but like it's just different languages
yeah.
in the
It's
sense.
and
But we both believe in the same like Abrahamic God, and
do
our
unto others
values
what
are
I would have
very
done to you. Don't
right.
covet. I don't it's the same
Yeah,
broad
it's
strokes.
a culmination of everything, and that's why I respect Christians and I respect Jews, and I only want the best for them. I would never want anybody to convert to Islam, just based on sort of like if you want to do it because you want to do it, that's fine. But like if you could find God, like that's the purpose. Is you're not. I'm not trying to get anyone to come to like my tent. I just want
Yeah.
people to find God
No, just
and
yeah.
find God the best way that you can find God, because that is how that is sort of like the foundation. That's the cornerstone of building a fulfilled life.
Yeah. And it's I was gonna say, is when you said, like, and you do even want to work with the people that hate you because there's no construct. I was gonna say, unless you meet somebody that disagrees with you but can talk like an adult, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
they just killed that guy.
And the project, and kind of also bringing it back to like what I'm working on. Like I keep thinking to myself, like, am I trying to reach as many people as possible, or am I trying to reach the people that actually share my values? And I have to continue to remind myself, it's not about trying to reach as many people as possible. It's about trying to work with those who share my values, and that's going to hopefully lead to the success of whatever it is that I'm working on.
Well, keep me looped in.
I
Uh,
will.
All right. Well, I don't know what we're supposed to do because this isn't my show. So, guys, the guys in the studio, I don't really know how do you guys go from 1 hour to the next. I mean, I know this is wildly unprofessional, but I don't.
He's just going to kick me out.
With my show, yeah, with my show, I kind of do like, hey guys, thanks for watching. God bless, peace, and then
You can send me to Gitmo.
yeah, and then all right, yeah, hey, he admitted on screen he's a
I mean,
Muslim.
I kind of deserve it, right? It's not like Muslims have been like, honestly, and this is like one of those things where I don't talk about this a lot, especially publicly, just because of the threat of like what the threat that could be posed. But like I spent like 25 years after 9/11 trying to convince other Americans that Muslims aren't violent. And then October 7th happened and everybody started cheering. And the Charlie Kirk situation reminds me of October 7th in a way, because the lack of humanity for innocent people dying,
Well,
um, and the celebration of it's just really, it's soul
well,
crushing.
when you
And
see that, it's evil.
Right, it is evil.
It's evil.
But what I mean to say is that like I feel like I've been betrayed by them by how little humanity they've shown towards people that um they are at odds with. It's just it's truly like it's one of the more despicable things I've seen happen from my community, and not to mention the fact that like how they've completely like are it's like an Islamic conquest of Europe right now, and
Yeah.
and again, it's probably Islamic conquest of the United States. I used to joke about it, but like it's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's happening right in front of our eyes, and it's it's not being done by good faith actors. It's doing it through the sword rather than the pen.
Mm. Well, I mean, and kind of
It's
like
a sad reality I gotta live with. So,
well, yeah, but a
but
micro.
if I don't call it out and I don't fight against it, then who will?
Well, I was gonna say in a microcosm of all of it, it's again kind of be like Charlie Kirk. Be like, hey man, they're not betraying you. Those aren't you. You are
I know
you.
they're not.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
I
saying
know.
is that you
I
are
speak
yeah.
for. I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, you know, you
Um,
are you. Keep being the person you are, keep being the father you are. I mean, again, you helped me a zillion fold at Rumble. That's who you are, and that's all you can be. And that's, you know,
right. I
if
know my
every yeah,
limitations.
if every Catholic today turned into a terrorist, you know, I'd be like, well, that doesn't make me feel good because I grew up Catholic, but no part of me would change. I'd still because I'm a good I think I'm a good person. I wouldn't
But
swap.
you know what's funny? Here's what they're trying to try to paint Christians in this country as sort of like the like in the same
Extremists.
way as terrorists. I mean, it's almost very similar treatment that I saw after 9/11 towards Muslims is that they're all terrorists, but like in this sense is that they want to implement sort of like this Christian nationalist government, which I don't think anybody really understood when someone calls themselves a Christian nationalist. It means one, and you have to take those terms and separately, right? For in Charlie Kirk's case, he said he's Christian nationalist in the sense that he's Christian, meaning he follows the Bible, follows the way of Christ, and he is a nationalist in the sense that he's proud of his country. He puts his
Yeah.
country first. That is not anywhere to me. I don't know how they look at that and they say, "Oh, he wants to impose basically like a Handmaid's Tale
Oh, you're a
government."
Christian Yankees fan. You're Christian and you like the Yankees.
It's just identity politics has driven people insane to the point where even something as harmless as calling yourself a nationalist, where you are proud to be of that nation, to be a citizen of that nation, and wanting the best for your countrymen and women, um, and citizens of that country, um, like that all of a sudden that's being painted as something bad, and that's been the case for the last decade plus. And it's really unfortunate. It's I hope that that changes, and we got to be able to fight against that every day, and even just be proud to be who we say we are. And Charlie did it every day, and you know, God bless him, and I hope you know he. I wish he was here to witness sort of this whole revival after his death, but you know, he probably is up in heaven.
I think he is, and I don't mean this at all in any sort of like insensitive way, but in a weird way, it's almost like this is like his final form. And I
Oh
don't
yeah.
mean that like in a sensitive way at all, but it's like
I mean, it's
you
everyone's
come,
final form, right?
yeah, but what you sure, but
This
what I
life
mean
is
is like
temporary for sure.
it's like the influence he's having now is just like it's the turbocharge. It's like you did everything and you died in a horrific way and your family's mocked, but like look what is now happening. In like the same way that I would say, I think the last 4 years, a stolen election in the last four in a way I'm grateful for it because I think it's woken people up to just how precious this country is.
For sure.
You
Yeah,
know,
if 2020 never happened, we would never be here where we are right
no.
now.
And so
And
in a
you have to take the good with the bad and recognize that yes, this is all part of God's plan. And we are not in control of it, but there are certain things that we can control, and the things that we can control, we better. I love this quote. It's like, God grant me the serenity
yeah,
to accept the things I cannot change, to change the courage to change the things
the
I
things I
can,
can,
and the
and
wisdom
the
to know
wisdom
the
to know the
difference.
difference.
One of my favorite passages or verses or
Yeah,
sayings. It's
that was
just
on my grandma's fridge.
yeah,
And no,
it's it.
it's that, but sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say,
No, you're good, brother. You're good.
Actually, a couple hours after he died, I was talking to my friends, and I said, in the same way that the last 4 years were hell to live through, you wish it didn't happen. You resisted it every step of the way. You didn't want him to certify the election. You didn't want him to do the vaccine mandates, yet they did it all. And now that we got through on the other side, you immediately go from this is the worst to this is the worst to I am so grateful that happened.
Yeah.
And in a way, but in a way,
so true.
But in a way, I think in a way, we might look back in a year, 3 years and go, thank God Charlie went the way he did because of XYZ. And that's a tough pill to swallow.
And it's so funny because, like, in the heat of the moment, right?
Oh, you hate it. It's going to the gym. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And then you get back.
You never want something like that to happen to anyone. And but at the same time, like, we all have to go one day. You said it. One day our ticket's going to be punched. And I hope that my death sparks the kind of revival that Charlie Kirk has had. That's what I'm striving for. And I think that's what we should all be striving for, is to have that level of impact on the world, that when someone dies, it triggers sort of this a groundswell of, like, support that's based in love and freedom, and the camaraderie and wishing well for others and praying for others. And then the whole contingent of evil that is just so happy that you're dead because evil and cowards are threatened by it.
No, I'm not kidding. And I've said it all throughout the course of this podcast. I yearn for that. When I die, I want the ugliest people on earth to cheer.
Yeah.
I do.
I honestly hope that.
And I'm not memeing. I
don't want to be loved by everyone.
No,
but
I want these demons to screech. Yeah, I do. I want them to go, because what that means is the only way they could ever combat my ideas were through death.
Tommy, if you die before I do, I'll be sure
we put on some like leather wings and start screaming.
I'm gonna dye my hair blue and dance on your grave.
I was gonna say, will you put on? No, I want you to put on comical devil horns with like a pickaxe. And just like,
it's obviously a joke. I would never do that. I'd be very sad.
I hope you do. No, I want you to.
But if I were to fulfill his wish of evil people celebrating his death, I will happily cosplay an evil person dancing on his grave.
Well, like, who's that?
And then after doing that, I will.
No, be out of love. You'll be crying, but you'll just be in this ill-fitting like devil's costume. Just like a red Speedo, like just prancing on my grave. People are like, yeah, man, love is a strange thing.
Love makes people do strange things, that's for sure.
All right. Man. Well, I don't know what we're supposed to do. So Mr. Siraj Hashmi, Mr. Siraj. Guys, go in the description. Go follow his Twitter. You can go find his Rumble. Let me know. Okay, that's what somebody said, taking us a break. All right, well, we're going to break, Siraj. Thank you for your time, man. I love you.
Thanks, Tommy. Always great talking to you.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. All right, are we on break?
Hey, this is just in from Fidelity. Gold could hit $4,000 an ounce as the Federal Reserve cuts rates to cushion the U.S. economy. The dollar drops and the central bank keeps adding holdings. Gold has been on a record-breaking tear over the last few years, and it doesn't look to be slowing down in the years to come. Are your savings protected with precious metals like gold and silver? Are you waiting for gold and silver to shoot even higher in price? I want you to call my gold partner, Goldco, today and learn more about what precious metals can do for you. That's 844-960-GOLD, or visit untamedgold.com. You'll get a free 2025 gold and silver kit, and you'll get info on the #1 precious metal offer in the game, where you can get up to 10% back in bonus silver just for getting started. But supplies are limited, so don't put it off. Call my gold partner, Goldco, at 844-960-GOLD, or visit untamedgold.com. That's 844-960-4653, or visit untamedgold.com. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, It's a testament to God, family, and country. At Otterbound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honorbound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
My first time here shooting at the shooting range.
How's it going? It's also my first time and I'm really excited.
It's also my first time here, first time shooting a gun.
My day off of work and they were like, hey, you want to shoot some guns? That was awesome. The revolver is crazy. I will definitely come again.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really cool experience.
100% bringing my friends here another time.
I like to come shoot because I get to spend time with my family. Same for me. I love spending time with my family. It's something to do.
It's a lot of fun shooting.
When I first moved back into town, the first place I came was DCF Guns, and I signed up for a membership right away.
I got into shooting because of self-defense. I would encourage all women to be ready and to feel comfortable handling a handgun.
This was my first time ever shooting at DCF West. It felt amazing. I shot an AR-15 and it was amazing. It was powerful and I loved it.
I'm here today as a part of a group of women that support one another in continuing to practice and refine our knowledge.
Not only self-protection of ourselves, but protection of our loved ones as well.
I have fun and I get to meet with other ladies.
You should always be prepared to defend yourself.
And I love coming to DCF Guns West to shoot. I come with my family. It's a nice, clean, friendly range. Here I feel safe. I feel like the people to my left and my right are also really cognizant of their range etiquette. That's why I come to DCF Guns West.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. But there's a thing that came over me when I was sitting there, and that is an immense amount of anger. And as I'm sitting there writing a post, there's a song that came on, and the people started singing the song. And you guys will recognize it. I don't know if you can grab that for me, but I put it out there on X. If not, you can just go check the X. It resonated with people. Maybe we could share the post. I don't know if you've done that yet, Tommy, or not.
I haven't.
But I said something that I kind of want to know if it resonates with people. So if you can put it up next to us, I can actually read it. And it rubbed some people the wrong way. So people were like, this is a day for Charlie, and let's not talk about this today. We can do that tomorrow. But it was a pretty raw feeling that you have when you're sitting there, and the festivities. I call it festivities. The memorial was more of a celebration of Charlie's life. And, Erica, at the very end of it, obviously stood up and said, I forgive you, to Tyler Robinson. And I'd say about 99% of the people in the arena stood up. I could not stand up. I will just tell you right now that I have time to forgive him after he is executed, frankly. And I wish I could say differently about that. I need to work on that. But. So let me just read this to you. It says, sitting at the very top of the stadium, angry, not for the memorial, but for the stage we were at. Rumors swirl, official narratives become largely unbelievable. There's this realization that we do not trust any part of our government. It's rotted to the core in nearly every part. And as I sit here contemplating the life of Charlie Kirk, I'm jaded by the simple fact that no one is telling the truth. No one is being held accountable. Fraudulent elections, rotted judiciaries, rotted FBI, rotted DOJ, rotted Congress, all while smiles of how much we are winning. Now, one person arrested, Tina Peters still in jail, lawfare continues and judges still saying there is no evidence, while mountains of evidence is presented. Children still groomed, education still infiltrated by an evil indoctrination, a country in nearly absolute disrepair. We closed the border, yay. We taxed our other countries, yay. Crime is down, yay. A recap. They killed millions with the COVID hoax, forcing ventilators on unsuspecting victims. They denied treatments like ivermectin, of course, until Pfizer could create Pfizermectin. They filled our families with poison and fired, ridiculed, and ostracized anyone that would not take it. They stole our elections, one by one, state by state, until they had enough density to persecute and steal the lives and fortunes of Americans. Then they stole our voices, canceled, bullied, and ridiculed those that stood up. They used the media apparatus to inflict the pain with lies and slander. They said, "You have no proof," and yet we have plenty. They raped, trafficked, and groomed our women and children. And when men stood up, they said, "This is toxic masculinity." They said, "How dare you stand?" The lies too numerous to count, the narrative too evil to ignore. Then they assassinated Charlie. Let that sink in. Then I said something to President Trump that I think is necessary. I said, "Mr. President, enough is enough. Arrest them all. Ban machines, ban mail-in ballots. Start with the first promise you ever made." And then I took this part from his first inaugural address back in 2017. "Together we will determine the course of America and the world for years to come. We will face challenges, we will confront hardships, but we will get the job done. We must give the people back their voice and then start with not just a bold, that starts with not just a bold and virtuous vision, but with bold action. There are problems and there are symptoms. They represent a unique opportunity to work the problem. It gives people the ability to eliminate the rot, a symptom of the captured nation and captured states. We love you, Mr. President. We love Charlie, and we serve our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It's time to give back what was never theirs to take. Restore it." And then obviously I put President Trump on there. If you want to play this video, it's kind of just, it was the beginning of what was actually happening inside of the stadium. So let's play it if we can.
One time. Praise you again and again. All that I have is
So that guy that was sitting next to me, his name's Ernest. He came by himself, sat outside for 11 hours to get in, and drove in. So it was fascinating to meet some of the people that were there. It was pretty heartfelt.
I think it is okay to be angry and not to forgive. I think it is only Erica's choice to forgive or not. And I think a lot of times forgiveness is for the forgiver, right? It's your own reflection of God. Like, I'm going to try to, right? Because you try to go, compare to God's perfect divinity to you. And, like, let's say to me, I don't think I'm a bad guy. God's perfect divinity to me is farther apart than me and, some child rapist in terms of the pure divinity of God. So whenever I look at forgiveness of something evil that happens, I go, it's easier for you to forgive them than it is for God to forgive you, and God forgives you eternally. So I get that from her position. I do. And I also only think it's her position. I can't forgive it. Because
I can't.
Because it's gonna keep happening. We saw it last summer and they didn't, and we got away and we didn't blow his head off. What you saw this summer was what was supposed to happen last summer. It's supposed to be visceral, covered in blood, in front of your face, all over social media, and then you're gonna have people gloating about it. That's what last summer was supposed to be. Like, make no mistake. And what we got this summer was a, slimmed down diet version of what last summer was supposed to be. So, but furthermore, I don't think that these are opposing sides of an issue. I think George Patton prayed for the Nazis he was killing during World War II, not after. You can find the letters of during the Battle of the Bulge, saying of paraphrasing, "I'm sure some of these guys are all right, but I'm going to lay waste." You can, in your heart, forgive someone and still give them the death penalty. I really do believe that. But I'm with you in that more and more I'm looking at it as, it's not that I don't understand the teachings of Christ, or I don't understand the merit of, and it could be this is just my human flaw manifesting. I think if this is not dealt with the force of God, all you're doing is allowing it to happen. There's some other Charlie Kirk walking around. There's some Tim Pool or Joe Altman or Joe Rogan who's walking around right now. And because we haven't reacted with the force of God, in a year, we're going to go, I can't believe they shot Tucker. And you're going to go, well.
So let me explain my position on.
That was my position. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You're right. You're not wrong, Tommy. But let me explain my permission when it comes to specifically, because one of the things that was said, and I had a friend call me and says, Joe, why are you talking about elections? Like, why are we talking about elections? Why are we not talking about, anything else like forgiveness? And I was like, listen, you can service symptoms or you can service problems, and you have to pick which ones you actually service.
They're not separate.
No. I mean, but you can't look at life and say, okay, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to patch the road over and over and over again, and you have a sinkhole underneath the road. So you just keep filling the sinkhole, hoping that it's actually going to solve the problem as the sinkhole grows bigger, right? That is servicing the symptom. Sooner or later, the degradation will be too great for you to actually repair it, and then you're in a state of disrepair, which is where we are now. I think the reason why this resonated with the people holistically is that, look, I've always been the one to be very introspective or philosophical about where we are, and kind of take a middle of the road approach to, Democrat versus Republican, and what is right for the people. But the one thing that I can say that we haven't done is that we've allowed someone that's basically saying this is the hot potato. Like, this is the actual problem. This is the root of the problem of our country, because leaders are chosen on both sides. Both Republican and Democrat leaders are largely chosen. And you can tell because you had AIPAC that met with leaders of Congress and said, okay, we're going to do everything we can to find our guys to put into Congress to do what we want to do. Well, the only thing that favors is the ultra wealthy. And so it doesn't matter who you are, you're actually controlling the entire output or outcome in the game. And if you get rid of machines and mail-in ballots and go to a transparent system where things are done at a state level and a precinct level, where it decentralized the ability to cheat, and you have to show up in person, bring an ID, and do those things, then you largely can control the outcome. And that outcome would be what the voice of the people is actually doing. And there's a secondary problem that we have, a symptom that is the media acts as the bully pulpit to beat and to destroy people. And in large part, that's what they did with President Trump, is that they had the media talking badly about a guy that was talking about the problems that people saw holistically.
It's the same way where if you didn't know any better, and it doesn't necessarily mean someone's a bad person if they go, why are you talking about elections? But it would be like, we now know in hindsight, the CIA's NCTC, National Counterterrorism Center, we now know that the towers they had collapsed. But the evening of September 11th, they were already like full forces, CIA ground branch, air branch, maritime branch. They were immediately breaking it down, going through and combing through the NSA Dragnet surveillance programs, and where are we going? So whereas half the country is obviously deeply mourning on September 11th, that evening, they're already the hardest dudes on earth gearing up and going. I think it was like late September, they were landing in Afghanistan. So my point is you're bringing up elections during this memorial. If you didn't know any better, yeah, that would sound insensitive if you're watching the towers burn and somebody goes, we got to find the finance system in the Middle East. You'd be going, dude, we got to put the fire out. Like, no, you're right. No, we got to put the fire. People are jumping. What caused this? And how do you find that? And how do you track it down? And how do you chop its head off in front of everyone? And I think that is where I look at that as well, because everything else is downstream. If elections are still being handed out and selected, every win,
everything is downstream.
Doesn't matter. If the kid can always at any point take the basketball home because his dad's the coach, then the game isn't real.
And look, if you have a system that you've designed, which we have, the hand count roadshow, which Mark did, has demonstrated this all over the country. He's still on the road doing the same thing. And, again, if we want to look at it from an academic standpoint, have a debate about it, they can't win the debate. You cannot win the debate on the lack of transparency with mail-in ballots. And, and I'm not saying get rid of mail-in ballots completely. What I'm saying is make it so that people that are disadvantaged, meaning they can't leave their home, they're, in, old folks' homes, or they have a disability, then they should get absentee ballots. But this thing that you can have mail-in ballots when you have bloated voter rolls and all the other problems that we have, it's just not possible. And so having people that are counting at a precinct level, limiting it down to 2,000 to 4,000 people per precinct, which is what we did for 100 years, right? And by the way, our population's only grown by 40% since then, right? And the density of environments has actually shrunk. It hasn't gotten bigger. So the idea that you can't actually centralize or decentralize elections and make it so that you can actually get a good person in each one of those seats is absolute nonsense. And this is, as I talk to people who are Democrats, which, by the way, prior to Charlie dying, I had, you know this about me, Tommy, I had no patience at all, right? I flew back and there was a young man sat next to me. His name's Russell. He's from Fort Collins, tall guy. I think he's like 7 feet tall. And he's wearing a 47 hat that he got at Charlie Kirk's memorial. And so I just start talking to him. And he's obviously gay, right? But he's a great guy, right? I hope he is. I mean, other than that, he's very feminine. So, but a great guy, super great guy. And he started talking about the difference that Charlie made in his life. And, we spent that 2 hours of this flight actually having a conversation. And I think that is the thing that Charlie is actually instilling, is this idea that, hey, let's have dialogue, let's talk through things and figure out a way to come out the other end without shooting each other. Because short of that, we're going to be in a state of perpetual violence.
And it will slide that way. And I think it's, I always try to find the gratefulness in the most evil things. And it's not because I'm starry-eyed or a babe in the woods, but rather I think it's, honestly, at the very core, I think it's lazy to not find optimism. I'm like, not because you believe it's good, but take it because it's a challenge. Find the good in it.
Yeah.
I do think the good in seeing something so visceral, seeing something ISIS video-esque of a man's neck draining out, and then to add salt to that, see people in seemingly sexual ecstasy cheering it on. I think my point is, I think the positive in that is you got a lot of people, not all of them, but I know personally in my own circles of friends, you had a lot of people, lifelong lefties, who that 1-2 punch of the blood and guts and then the cheering has people. And I won't say her name because she's my friend, but when I mean blue hair, armpit hair, lesbian, since Charlie Kirk died, has been wearing a "What Would Jesus Do" bracelet. So like that's what I mean, is like real alchemy stuff.
Listen, I'm telling you right now that the hearts and minds of America have been changed by this martyr, right?
100%.
He will be immortalized based on what he stood for. And you'd be hard pressed. One of the things that somebody said to me at the hotel, and I was talking to my son, so I had to sit down with my son for 3 hours, and my wife actually hung up on him when they were talking because he said something about Charlie. And Erica's like, "How dare you?" Right? "How dare you?" And then just hung up on him because he had never done the deep dive of looking into the life of Charlie Kirk. He only did the part. And here I am in Arizona meeting with him. And so, but I had to sit down. First, I had to tell my wife, I was like, "Listen, you have to extend grace to Matt because Matt doesn't know. All he can hear is what he can hear from his circle, the area." And I see him struggling so much, but I sat with him for 3 hours. And in that 3 hours, I didn't try to change his mind. I just said, "Let me just tell you what I know about Charlie. And you share with me what you know, and then we'll kind of talk this through." And then this morning we started talking again, and he's finding his voice, not in disagreement. He's finding his voice of even convincing me of things that I should be cognizant of. So let me tell you what I learned today. There's a lot of things that we're right about, Tommy. There's a lot of things we're right about. You know what we're not right about? We're not right about that there's litter boxes in classrooms that are used for furries to go to the bathroom in classrooms. We're not right about it. And I argued with him about it, because Joe Rogan had said it. I'd heard it, Joe Rogan. I heard all these other people, and Aaron has talked
I'd
about
never
it.
heard that.
And so it's like this urban myth that has grown. Matter of fact, there was a Texas. I read about it when I was on the plane coming back here as I'm having this conversation with Russell. But he said he was getting out of the car, and I was adamant that yes, it has happened. And there was a Texas legislator that put up legislation to stop the putting of litter boxes in classrooms for people that think it's cats.
It never happened?
Huh? It never happened. But I'm arguing with my son about this, and then I get out of the car and I give him a hug and I tell him I love him. But I learned something there. Here's what I learned. I don't know everything.
Oh, yeah.
And our side is just as full of shit as the other side.
Yeah.
Both full of shit. They both make up things, and then people grasp onto those things as justification to hate either side. And here I am today, and literally it was today. Like I'm getting out of the car with my son. I give him a hug, and I'll probably cut this part of it and send it to him to say, "Hey, Matt, you were right." And you know what? I need to be more humble in how I grab information myself, and not just be so quick to say this is what they're doing, right? And so it was humbling. It was humbling in a way that I can't really describe. That Charlie died because of the same reason why Matt and I are having this discussion about furries and litter boxes. That's why he died. He died because they built so much rhetoric and so much indoctrination, and it's not just one-sided, right? Like you haven't even heard of furries, right? I've heard about it because I heard from Joe Rogan, right? But we're sitting here, and I'm like, Joe, you're totally wrong. And he admitted later he was wrong, but you never heard the I'm wrong part.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's kind of one of the things is if you can, no one likes being wrong, but at least, I found over 6 years of doing this podcast, it's like a workout. Early on in working out, you don't like it, but after years of it, you start to appreciate the burn, because you're going to feel that much better after the workout. So you're like, even though my arms are on fire, you're like, I know I'm about to feel so good. I've kind of learned over the years that feeling of like, no, it wasn't that I was kind of wrong. I was 100% wrong.
Yeah.
You'll come to love that. And I think there's a reason why you love, and it's not just some self-torture thing. It's because it then allows you to go, I was so adamantly, vehemently, 100% against that side because of X, Y, and Z up until 11 minutes ago. Is it possible that there's someone over there that goes, I just found out Tommy Carrigan actually isn't a Nazi. He's just an Irish guy. And I'd be like, yeah, what are you talking about? If you can feel that in yourself, and that comes to the forgiveness thing, is if you can forgive, you're not a bad person for thinking that. You go, I got duped. It can then allow you to extend that grace to someone else and go, some of them are demons that are cheering his death. Some people that just thought Charlie was a bad dude, you go, that guy might have just been misinformed the same way I was misinformed.
But what was amazing about it is that some of the people that said that he was bad day one went back and listened to the videos, and you're seeing them be redeemed through this process.
Oh yeah. I had never listened to Charlie Kirk for a second until he passed. I'd be like, yeah, he's kind of a dork. I've listened to him in the last 2 weeks, and I went, God, I hope I end up being a tenth as good as him.
It's emotional because, I would share his stuff before, but now I share his stuff every day, right? And I'm more deliberate about it now because I think that the young people specifically, they've got to find their voice. And I think one of the things that Charlie allowed for is for people to have the space to find their own voice, right? And you'd have people that say, oh, Charlie's a racist. Well, then you didn't know Charlie. You say Charlie's a bigot. Well, then you didn't know Charlie. Charlie literally would walk someone off the stage that they walked up to the mic and they're like, oh, I agree with you. I'm with you, Charlie, right? And then they would start on some rant. And then he would wait a minute. Hold on a second. So do you think it was wrong for a gay guy to get on the stage at TPUSA? And the guy's like, yeah. And Charlie was like, then you're not a Trump supporter. Yeah, right? And he just lit him up, and he's like, that is the antithesis of what we represent as people, that we should be forgiving, we should actually give grace, we should do all these things. And yet the opposite is true. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that people who are living a life that they shouldn't be living, they're in conflict with themselves. That's why you have the anger, right? They know what they're doing is diabolically opposed to what God wants them to do. And that's why they have the problems that they have, right? So So I think you have to, I don't know. I think we just have to, we have to find a way to expand, and we have to consolidate. Like, we've got to figure out a way to consolidate voices to where we're not so off running around making up stuff, right? I mean, you sent a video about Charlie Kirk and how he died and what was involved, and I'll be honest, Tommy, I couldn't watch it. And it's not because I couldn't watch it because I didn't want more knowledge. I couldn't watch it because I didn't want to see another video of Charlie being shot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got it. We didn't show any of it. I haven't shown any of that.
I don't want to relive it again. I kind of want to move past that part and get to a place where no matter what happens, Charlie was killed because of his ideology and what he believed and how he spoke, right? So,
and that's kind of my own flip flop, for lack of a better phrase, is, you know, everything we're saying, and I think we're banging on all cylinders of forgiveness and grace and empathy, and you go, oh, I thought they had kitty litter, and oh man, so when you that one's on me, all of a sudden you have to go, okay, well now I kind of owe you one. Like, okay, now all of that, everything we just talked about, that's in this bubble, empathy, grace, and everything. Outside of that bubble,
I don't believe in empathy, by the way.
Okay.
I don't believe in empathy. I don't believe in that. Can I address the empathy part real quick?
Change the word to whatever you want. Forgiveness, sympathy.
Here's why I don't agree with empathy, right? I don't agree with it. Because facts don't care about your feelings, right? And the second that you move to a place where you become empathetic with someone else's position, right? It doesn't mean you can't dialogue. I mean, but as soon as you move from facts to feelings, you forget about the facts altogether. And that's what happened in the media for a very long time. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I want to be empathetic to someone that wants to run around like a furry. I don't.
Sure. No, neither do I.
It says I'm a woman and they're actually a man. I'm not empathetic for that, right? I'm not going to identify with mental illness. I just won't. That doesn't mean that I can't accept them, right?
Sure.
I've made some decisions over the last couple of days on, because I have someone that works for me who calls himself one name, and I've known them as a different name, right? And before, I would never call them by the name they wanted to be called. My son also said this to me. He goes, Dad, why? They say that their name's X. Why won't you call them that? And I thought to myself, because I don't want to participate in the lie. And then I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, you know what? I don't have to participate in the lie to address them the way that they want to be addressed. I will not use pronouns. I will not use things that are, subjectives, right? But I can use their name. If that's their name, that's their name. So you have this thing that happens when you start listening, right? I'm not empathetic. I don't believe in it. I think it's an absolute lie. There are only two genders, two sexes. That's it, right? So I'm done with the rest, right? But it doesn't mean that I can't address them with dignity. How's that?
Absolutely. Scratch that term. Whatever.
Yeah.
Everything we're talking about.
Yeah. Right.
I was wrong.
I just wanted my thought on this.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. In the same way I look at 21-year-olds, I'm like, yeah, I have to extend some grace to all I want to do is go get drunk. I'm like, yeah, well, I used to be there. And then, I'm 35, so I'm 14 years older than you. That means that there's probably somebody 14 years older than me, 49, who's going, Tommy's an idiot, but I used to be there. My point is, so we're talking about all this, the tit for tat, I see you. Okay. That all exists in, just pretend there's this bubble that we'll put over here. And it's people who, they're not evil. They just happen to be left leaning, and they're going, what happened to Charlie was bad. Maybe we can talk about Kitty, blah, blah, blah. Put that over here. Outside of that are people I do not want dialogue with. Those are people who pick up arms and shoot people in a country where it is not only smiled upon, but legally enshrined that you have the freedom to talk to. And that's where we come back to the earlier when you said, I don't forgive, I can't stand up. That's where I come down on this. There's all this other stuff where you can find middle ground and you can find grace and acceptance and love. Then there are people who will shoot you in the neck in front of your family. Those are the people I can no longer go, well, we gotta build bridges. I can't. And maybe that's a blackening of my heart, and maybe God's going to teach me a brutal lesson, and if that's the case, then I deserve it. I can no longer look at this, because by extending forgiveness to them, all I'm doing is giving permission for the next person to do it to the next dude next year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And maybe that just means I'm not a better Christian. It could very well be that way. My ego is not big enough to not see that. I can't extend grace to somebody that shoots a 10-year-old in a church, like that dude or chick or whatever it was a couple months ago. I can't extend forgiveness to that. I can't extend forgiveness to transsexual shooters who go into Catholic schools and are writing, it's time to get these Catholic bleeps. Or the dude that shot up that church and he's drawing a picture in his journal of him looking in the mirror and it's a demon talking to him. Dude, I can't. These are things to where that doesn't mean Erica's not allowed to extend forgiveness. That is hers and hers alone, and I can't take that from her, and I won't. There is a real talk though of where we can look at 9/11 and go, never again. We got to have airport security, and then there's things people don't want to talk about where you do got to send in commandos like Dale and Baz and Clay and Jan, and you got to send them in the middle of the night and shoot people in the face, and no one wants to talk about that part. And yeah, I don't legally, I obviously don't mean literally, but there is a side of this that has to be dealt with that cannot be dealt with hashtags.
Yeah. So look, I'm a warrior by who I am, right?
Sure.
And you already know for a fact that I'm absolutely willing to fight. There's no
I know.
I'm willing to fight. But I saw something happen at this event. I looked over and saw people that diabolically opposed to who I am, right? At least I thought that was the case. I sat in a row with people that frankly wanted to be there for Charlie Kirk, and you had a family that was there that was not legal. They were not here legally.
Sure.
One row below us, and they still came there to pay their respects for Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, so there's something happening, and I don't know if there's
sure.
We could talk about Stephen because they talked about it several times. You know, when Stephen was stoned to death, and it was the only time, and I think it was who was it? One of the influencers. He's on the stage and he talks about it, and he said that Stephen was the only one that went up to heaven, and you saw Jesus stand at the right hand of God, right? Or right side of God, standing at the right side of God, right? And so he talked about this, Jack Persobe, but he talked about this when he was on the stage, and I thought it to myself, and I was like, listen, there's that video you sent to me was so powerful. Did you play that yet?
Oh no, that was my buddy sent that to me in another Telegram chat. The Jesus
guys
one.
get that video ready. But that video literally made me cry. I was bawling like a baby, and it wasn't because I want people to see this video. It was the power of what that video represented. It represented Charlie at the very moment by which tragedy struck, that he was brought up to heaven by Jesus. That Jesus came down, and right as it happens, right as
you hear that
unthinkable happens, Jesus is there and just took him up. We got to play this video.
Yeah. No, I love it just because I've seen the Charlie Kirk video a zillion times, and it's as right as when you would hear the gunshot. You see, and it's just Jesus kind of very like, "What's up, man?" And it's just seamless. No, nothing.
Can I play that? Can we play it?
Yeah. I don't know how.
Let's play it, guys.
Not counting gang violence. Great. Charlie Kirk, a faithful servant, inspired us with his bold faith. Psalm 116:15 says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his faithful servant. His legacy endures."
Yeah, no, it's so. Just
there's great power.
No, it is. It's something where you go. I mean, the first thing I thought, I was talking to some doctors after it happened, and they were like, he didn't know. They're like, I'm telling you, there's no way he know. And we can try to understand that because we're still here and we saw everything. No, but that's the reason I sent that along, is because there was something about the exact timing of when you knew it was about to happen, but instead it's just very nonchalant, just like, hey, what's up, bro? Just kind of no pain. And I think that is a way to look at it. And, you know, it's sad for us because we're still here. I don't think it's sad for him. I think
And this guy Russell that I was sitting with on the plane, he's like, Jesus come back tomorrow, and I'd be totally good with it, right? And just to have that feel where, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you and I have talked about this, but like the one thing I always talk about, just, doing this podcast and, always never backing down and always having on whether it be during COVID or whether having Baz on last fall and feeling like I was going to get killed because the story they were breaking. That video actually encapsulates perfectly what I feel. And I say it all the time on the podcast. The show is scary, and sometimes I do things. I'm talking about things, you get death threats, and that's never fun. But there is an internal tranquility. There's like an ocean of like silk that I feel when I lay down at night, and I'm just like, I know God's got me, and I feel like that video kind of puts into words what I have a hard time putting into words, and like, it doesn't mean that it's not scary speaking truth to power. I told you I literally have a podcast gun, but that's what I feel it will be like if and when it goes. It'll be that. And I think if you're a faithful servant, and who knows, and it could be that I have to be a better person and extend more forgiveness. I think that's what you have to remember. And when you can remember that, all of a sudden this whole world seems a little bit less scary. Doesn't mean that it's not a lot of work. But, it's like they say, Jesus will guide you, but you got to row the boat. You got to do the work. Your shoulders are going to burn. You got to row, man. You can't, he'll direct you. You got to row though. And you're going to be sweating and you're going to feel fat. But so yeah, that's why I sent that along, is I thought that it was pretty special.
They, it reminds me, and then I got to go because I got to go get on a plane to get out of here. But, I think you get to a place where you just, you realize that, you don't have all the answers. And that one of the things that his pastor said, a teacher that's a professor said, who also taught him, years ago, works for Hillsdale College, right? Is that you have to do the hard work, right? You have to be willing to do the hard work and dig in and, study, right? Just become the most well-versed on both sides so you can have these conversations and you can understand the argument, right? And I think that's the one thing that we have to become better at, is just understanding where they're coming from as far as the perspective, and then making sure that you can actually kind of resolve the differences, right? In such a way that makes them say, but you got to be willing to say, too, because there's lots of things that change Charlie Kirk, right?
Correct. You got to feel that. It's good to feel the heat in your face and you start blushing because you realize you're wrong. It's good to feel that. Lean in. That's not a bad feeling. It's a good feeling.
So last night, what I did based on this is I made a couple changes, Tommy. Ready? One, any free time that I have, I'm going to devote it towards learning, right? So rather than doing stuff that, just popping on, watching a documentary or something, I'm going to push back and just say, okay, I'm going to read the book. I'm going to read the Bible. So last night, you have the Bible app, which I think everyone should download, right? And I just pressed the little button on the Bible app to listen. And I went back and started in Genesis. Now I'm already studying in other places, right? But I wanted to start in Genesis, and got through 22 books in a couple hours, 2 hours, or 22 chapters, right? In a couple hours. And I thought, what would I have been doing with this time? If I wasn't doing that, what would I be doing in this time? I think we have to get to a place where we apply that same discipline to our lives that we expect to bear fruit, right? That means everything we do on the podcast has to be done with purpose, right? So
in my daily to-do list, listen to 1 hour of an audiobook. Since I started the podcast, I think I've listened to 215 nonfiction audiobooks. A lot of them I don't like. They're not enjoyable. they put me to sleep.
Yeah.
Wealth of Nations or you snore. But there is a feeling of purpose that comes from that. It really is. And you can move with that purpose, and it just opens up all these new paths into life.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree fully.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
So you going to pray us out?
I was going to say, no, I think you have to.
I just pray us. I'm in the United terminal.
I don't care.
I think you're praying us out.
All right. Well, I'd say we just do a quick Our Father then, because I saw Elon Musk tweeted a line from the Our Father. But in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Love you, brother. It's a good
Well,
show.
great. Listen, thanks for filling in. And
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on. Like I said before, Tommy's going to be on at least once a week. I'm going to put him in the middle of it.
Yeah. Come on, start screaming. People wonder who the Irish guy is with rosacea.
So a little bit of housekeeping. I'm speaking at the Freedom Fest event in Tennessee on October 4th. You can go to, I don't remember the website. You can put it up, guys, if you can. Got 3 speaking engagements over the next 3 weeks. Security is going to be tight, so don't expect that. We'll be doing things in the Freedom Fest one 2025 will be in unison with some of the Turning Point USA groups in Tennessee, so it should be pretty fun. We're going to kind of renew our commitment to Turning Point USA. So if you want to give them anything, if you want to help out what's happening, that's going to be the place to go. Yeah, so it's tcgc.org. Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Don't really know if I'll be able to walk up and say hi to you. I don't think that's probably in the cards, but we have it's going to be a packed deal. Mark McKay will be there. A couple of other singers will be there. Songwriters will be there. So it's going to be a pretty banging event.
Awesome.
It should be really fun. So you have 29 grassroots counties, 2 affiliates, and 24,000 people. It's going to be big. It's going to be a big event. So
awesome.
Make sure you go there, get your tickets. Get your tickets now. So we got that. The other side is that we have a sponsor. We're going to have a couple more sponsors that come on. We're going to be a little bit more deliberate about how we sponsor or have people on the show sponsor us. So we're going to give, rather than going out and getting 4 big sponsors, we're going to have probably 20 that basically just support the show, support what we're doing. And one of which has been Goldco. They've been really good to us. But I will tell you that they're a good company. And you can go to untamedgold.com and just have them send you a packet. It's all you just start there, right? Whether you're buying bulk gold, right, where you're just buying gold across the counter, you can do that. Or converting your IRA, you can do either one. They've got a great group of people out there that can help you with that. But I do think it is the time. They only lowered interest rates by 1/4 point. Really kind of disappointing, actually. And it just shows you that they're not aligned with the people. Again, another symptom of the fact that there's no alignment with what the people are saying, and that is they have no access to affordable capital, and the markets are shrinking dramatically, and the people at the very top are holding on to all of that wealth. And that's a problem. That's problematic when the faucet's turned off for the bottom 97% of people in market. So, but you can go there. Go to untamedgold.com. Now, with that said, if you want to be a sponsor, you can reach out to us. Send me an email, joe@untamednation.com. I won't be the one to actually go through it. It'll probably go over to Tommy or not Tommy, but someone on the team, and they'll reach out to you and make sure that we can take care of you. So other than that, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. We're on pretty much everything, and we're going to be on Roku next month. So we'll be on Roku and Google TV and on the Apple TV program as well. So a lot of cool things that are happening, and just thank you for being a part of something great and special. And yeah, Tommy, thanks for being on the program.
Hey, dude, thanks for having me.
Love you, dude. It's good. It's great. So
Yeah, thank you. I would love to do it, and love talking as always. And yeah, it's bad, but I think we're gonna get through this. I think we're gonna, in the dark way, I think we're gonna look back at this, and there's some way or another, it's gonna end up having a positive effect. That it's gonna be very bittersweet because you're gonna go, I wish he was still here, but I think that there is more good to come out of this. So I have faith. But yeah, let's wrap this thing up.
all right. Well, God bless you, and we'll see you soon. And everybody, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same station.
Same time, same station. Mr. Joe Altman. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I don't know what to do, so it's not my show. I don't know how to walk out. What do I do? I'm waiting on you, Patrick, I guess. Take me to break. What are we doing?
They got us.
They got us. All right. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. It's not my show. I normally have my own sign off. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Peace, everybody.